guys, we have a problem. So you may have heard me mention in my last video that I was kind of going through a reading slump, but I was slowly coming out of it by the end of that video. Well, the good news is that I wasn't in a slump any longer, as far as I just wasn't enjoying reading anything, but I was in a slump as in I was reading so slowly that I just didn't finish a book for multiple weeks, which is kind of a big deal for me because, as you guys are very well aware, I'm trying to reach 100 books this year, and that means I have to read at minimum 8 books a month. Currently, I am 1 book ahead of my reading goal because I read so many books in February. But being 1 book ahead, unfortunately in this case, it doesn't even really save me, because up until a few days ago, I had only read 1 book in all of April. And you guys even saw me read it. It was Fahrenheit 451. It was only 150 pages long. That like barely counts as a book. It was more like a novella. And then 2 days ago, I finished a book, and then yesterday I finished a book. So I'm now officially up to 3 books that I have finished in the month of April, which is better than nothing, but that is still quite a few books to read by the end of the month. Today is Wednesday, April 23rd, and it is currently 8:25 p.m. I don't even have the full day today to do it, and the last day of April is a week from today. So basically, I have 1 week to read 5 books. 5. That might be a little bit of a stretch. I am unsure if I can do this. I have a plan, and I honestly think that if we don't make it, we'll at least be very close if we follow the plan. Let me show you what I'm thinking. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to finish the audiobook that I'm in the middle of. Now, I'm currently reading Heat of the Everflame, and I'm enjoying it, though I'm not liking it as much as the first 2 books where I just devoured them so quickly. I am still liking this one, but it is taking me a while to get through because it's close to a 40-hour audiobook, and I think I have about 10 hours left of that book. So that gets us down to 4 other books that we have to read. The second part of the plan is to finish the nonfiction book that I'm currently reading. It's called Metaphors We Live by George Lakoff and Mark Johnson. This is exactly what it sounds like. It's a book about metaphors in the English language. At first, it kind of dives into examples of what those metaphors are, but by the end, it delves a lot more into linguistic theory when it comes to metaphors. So I personally think that's really interesting because I am a giant language nerd, if you did not know. And I'm currently on page 223, chapter 28. Now, there are only 30 chapters in this book, so I will be done with this book in 3 days if I read 1 chapter a day, which is my plan. So that brings us down to 3 books that I have to read in 1 week, which is much more doable as long as I'm consistent in this one and consistent in my audiobook. I think that we might be able to do this. Now, the last part of my plan is to get through a couple more books in the alphabet challenge, but to do it in a reading challenge style. So for this specific challenge, I think I'm going to do a number wheel that is between probably 50 and 200, which seems a little bit excessive, and honestly 200 is probably a little bit on the side of not feasible for me given everything else that I have to get done before I leave on my trip. But your girl's behind and I gotta blow through some books, so that's what we're gonna do, and I'm just gonna have to find a way to make it work or to get some of my other work done early. Let me show you the books that I'm reading for letters I and J. For I chose the only book on my shelf that starts with I, and that is In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. This, I've heard, is a lot like Knives Out. The back says 6 friends, 1 college reunion, 1 unsolved murder. And apparently it's about this group of friends that goes back for their 10-year reunion at their alma mater, and they are trying to solve the murder of one of their close friends that happened their senior year. Technically, I started this last night. I did not get very far. I only made it to page 14, chapter 3. That is the first book that we will be reading, though I'll probably flip-flop back and forth between the 2 depending on what I'm in the mood for. Then the second book that we are going to be reading is Just Last Night by Bari McFarlane. Now, this was the original book that I was going to choose for Jay, and then I got so burned out on romance, and technically this is a romance novel, but I've heard that the romance is more like a background plot and not necessarily the main plot. So it's kind of more along the lines of like women's fiction than it is purely romance, like a contemporary romance. But as you guys know, I got really burned out on romance, so I was not going to read this one, and instead I was going to read Jade City by Fonda Lee, and I was dead set on reading that one because it's a fantasy and I was so excited about it. But then when it came down to it, this book is 100 pages less than Jade City, and the font is larger than Jade City, so there's less words to read. And since I'm in such a big time crunch, this is the one that I went with because this one is feasible. And if I had to read Jade City, quite honestly, I don't think that this goal would happen. So those are the first 2 books that we are going to read, and those are going to correspond with the alphabet challenge. But I have one more book that I'll need to read at the end. So for that one, we'll mood read. The plan for tonight is I'm going to do a number wheel, and I'm going to do probably 25 to 75 pages for tonight, which will be lower than the rest of the days just because it's already late enough that anything above that is probably going to be not feasible. We'll do the lowest number as 25 and the highest number as 75. All right, here we go. 62 pages. Okay. I will probably not count my chapter in this book as pages counted because I need to make a lot of progress in these books. I will take both of these books and I will read either 62 out of one of them, or I might split them up. I'm not sure yet. Depends on what I'm feeling when I get into bed. That is it for tonight. I will give you guys an update in the morning on if I met my page goal, and we will spin the wheel again to see how many pages I have to read tomorrow with higher number stakes. I really don't want to be behind on my reading goal, so I hope that this goes well. And seeing her get her happy ending, so I literally can't wait, and y'all already know. To pause my Kalila video to give you guys an update. So last night I did make it through all of the pages that I was supposed to read, all 62 of them. Well, technically 60 because I got to 60 and it was the start of a new chapter, so I thought it was a perfect place to end off. And I did end up reading a little bit in both books, but I mostly read In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. I am now on page 56. Still not very far, but I have high hopes. I also read a little bit of Just Last Night. I think I only read like 2 chapters of it. I'm now on page 44. Okay, I'm having this really weird experience where both of these books that I picked up kind of have the same idea. They're not gonna have the same plot line eventually, but both of these books are about really close-knit friend groups of people who met in college, and the main character is a female who has been in love with one of the other guys in the friend group since like the very beginning, but now that person is married to or is marrying someone else. And then eventually, I'm pretty sure in both these books, someone in the friend group dies. How did I do this? How am I reading 2 books that are essentially the exact same plot? Like, I had no idea what this one was about pretty much at all going into it. So there's no way that I could have known that this was basically the same. And if I had known that these 2 were the same plots, I might have stuck with Jade City. Like, for real. I put down In My Dreams I Hold a Knife and I picked up Just Last Night, and I'm like, why is this the same book? Now, I know they're going to go on very different paths because this one is the murder mystery of how the friend died, and this one is more just about like the grief and how do you get through something that tragic. And this friend group, at least so far, seems a little bit healthier than this friend group. This friend group is quite dysfunctional. Also, is my camera like really crooked? Oh my gosh, it is. Like, my tripod is not straight. Why? Okay, I am so sorry that the whole clip you were very sideways. We are going to spin the wheel for today. I'm thinking today we probably need to do at least 150. So for the lowest, I think I'm gonna put 50. And then for the highest, we'll put 150. 67. Okay, that's honestly really not bad. I kind of feel like I might read over that today. So let's find out what page I have to read to. 56 plus 67 is 123. Let's read our 67 pages. I think I'm just gonna go ahead, read my 67 pages that I have to read now, and then tonight when I go to bed, I'll probably read more. But for now, 67 pages of In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. These people really are messed up. Hello, it is 5:07 the next day and I have not read a single page today, and I actually have to go in like probably 5 or 10 minutes. So any reading that I get done today is going to get done tonight, but I thought I would check in with you guys and we could spin the spinner wheel to see how many pages that I'm going to read today. Now I am planning on keeping the same numbers as yesterday. 74. Okay, that's completely doable. I feel like we're not getting super high numbers in this thing. I haven't had anything over 100 yet, which I'm a little bit surprised at. So yesterday I did end up finishing all of my pages like you guys saw in My Dreams I Hold a Knife. And then last night I did end up reading, I think, 2 chapters in just last night. So we are making progress on both books, despite the fact that I'm only reading one on camera right now, though I did not count these pages towards the pages that I read yesterday. All right, that's gonna get us pretty far in the book. I will at least get my 74 pages done in this tonight, and hopefully I will get a couple chapters done in just last night as well. I am really enjoying both books. It's just really weird to me still how they're basically the same book in a different font and a different genre. Though also I have to say I could not stop thinking about this story, this book, and this mystery for like the entire day. I was like, okay, what other mysteries, what other secrets are these people hiding? I have not been this invested in a mystery book in a very long time. That's all for now. I have to go because I have plans tonight and I'm gonna be late if I don't leave soon. So I will check in with you guys again tomorrow and let you know how I did. I have lots of updates for today, which is fantastic. First and most importantly, I finished Metaphors We Live By last night. That means that I am officially halfway done with how many books I need to read for April. And it is April 26th. I'm not quite as hopeful as I was. Anyway, that was very, very exciting. And also I listened to several hours of my audiobook today as well. So I only have about 4.5 hours left in that. So hopefully I'll be able to finish that in the next couple days. I think for sure I'll be able to finish that one. My update for the actual book that we're reading for the reading challenge is I did get to read all of my pages last night. I am on page 198 and there are 315 pages, I think. I did not get to read any pages in just last night, so I'm still at the same spot in that, but at least we have some progress made. As you can probably tell from the lighting, it is already nighttime. In fact, it's already past 9 p.m. So all my reading that I've done so far today was on my audiobook, which was needed, but I am feeling a little bit behind for not having updated you guys already, and I have not spun the wheel yet either. So let's spin and see how many pages we have to read today. 136. Okay, we got a really big number today. I don't even know if I have 136 pages left in this book. Time for some math. So, in order to reach... Wow, that was kind of loud. Oh, wait.
So sorry.
Are you having a snack?
Maybe. 1,000 apologies.
So in order to reach that page count, which is so high, but I'm kind of excited about it, that means I have to finish this book, which I have 117 pages left in, and then I have to read at least 19 pages in just last night. That's a little bit lofty, considering that it's already 9:20 p.m., but I'm gonna try. And at the very least, if I don't make it, then I'll add what I don't do with today's pages to tomorrow's pages. I guess I better start reading. I will talk to you guys later, hopefully, when I finish this book. Hello, it is the next day. I finished In My Dreams I Hold a Knife last night. I stayed up late finishing it, and oh my goodness, I love this book. Like, there's so much drama. There's so many secrets. It's so fun to read. I had a great time. I absolutely flew through this book. Even yesterday when I had over 100 pages to read, it honestly felt like I probably only read like 50 pages because I was so engrossed in the story that I was just absolutely eating this book up. I think I'm going to give this book a 4.5 5 stars, and I highly recommend this if you love mysteries, if you love the Knives Out feel. This is so similar to that, and I love it. I'm going to be looking for more books like this, so if you guys have any more books that kind of have a Knives Out mystery slash drama kind of feel, please let me know in the comments, because this was so much fun. That is the highest that I've rated a mystery slash thriller book maybe ever, if not ever, then in a very, very, very long time. And with that, that means that I have read 5 books in April, so we've come a long way in this video. I did not get all of my pages read last night. I had to read the 19 extra pages that were not included in this book in just last night. In those 19 pages is when the tragedy happens, and that was so sad. I don't know if you guys could really see, but I was like tearing up a little bit at that part. It was just so sad. So less than 100 pages in, and this book has already made me almost cry. I have a little bit of time to read right now, so I figured that we would go ahead and spin the spinner wheel together and continue reading this book at least for a little bit, and then I'll probably have to finish my pages tonight. I'm kind of hoping for a high number because that would really be helpful with trying to get through this book as quickly as possible. That's enough yapping on. Let's spin the spinner wheel and see how much of this book I'm going to get read today. 50. Okay, that's not enough. I actually am thinking about respinning because that is the lowest possible number. Maybe I should make the minimum higher. Let's do a minimum of 75 instead. Trying again. 126. That is a lot more like it. Okay, I definitely don't have enough time to read all 126 pages right now, but I will try to read as much as possible before I have to go do some other things. I fear this entire video is going to take place in this exact spot on the couch. And today is absolutely no different. I am in between 2 things. I just got home from work and I'm actually about to head back out the door again, but I do have a little bit of a drive tonight, so I'm hoping that I can get my pages read done on the drive. Now, I did not finish all the pages I was supposed to read yesterday. I'm about 20 pages behind on the challenge, so I will be adding those pages onto whatever we spin today. Let's just go ahead and spin. I don't know if I'm hoping for a high number so I can try to finish the book, or if I'm hoping for a low number. 129? Oh my gosh. I'll only have this little section left, so I'll try to push through and finish it tonight because that's only like 3 or 4 chapters. But if I don't get it done tonight, then I might just wake up tomorrow and just finish the book in the morning so that we can start a new book and have about 48 hours to do it. All right, we might finish this book today. That's crazy. I guess I haven't given you guys an update on how I'm liking this book since like the first 100 pages or so. I would say that right now I am enjoying it, but if I was in a place in life where I had just lost someone very, very suddenly, then this book would definitely be like right place, right time. It really walks through in depth some of the feelings and emotions that go into losing someone, especially someone very quickly, when you don't have time to like gradually adjust to the fact that your life is changing and they're slowly fading out of it, or because they're very sick or something like that. So far, there's absolutely no romance. I'm about halfway through. It's basically about just this tragedy that happened and like the emotional turmoil that is putting Eve and her friends through. But it's little quotes where it talks about like, how do you go back to normal life while you're still grieving, with things like, it's 6 o'clock, who's for takeaway? Or I think there's leftover chicken in the fridge. It feels so flippant and like you're drawing a line as if it's already diminishing in importance if you can think about your appetite or picking one food over another. I see what you mean. You can't be something as trivial as hungry. It's not even that. It might be only a Domino's pizza, but the act of choosing toppings seems so frivolous. It's like a statement that life goes on. You're not ready for that statement. You can't find the moment or the words without it seeming tasteless. How can they be dead and you're still preferring pepperoni to ham? Or a quote like, why are things, abandoned things, so hard to bear? They didn't have a quality before, and compared to the living thing you've lost, they're without value. If I had read this at a different time in life, I think that this would almost therapeutic in the healing process. It's one of those writing styles, or at least her humor is unique enough that you could probably pick it out if you were just reading a book. You would be like, oh, this is definitely Varia McFarlane, because it's so unique. It definitely has its own feel to the writing. And so I'm really enjoying that aspect of it. I don't necessarily think that this book is right place, right time for me. And I think my rating is going to be a little bit lower lower just because of that. It's not hitting me as hard as it would have. Those are my thoughts on it. If you are dealing with grief in a really big way, this will either be super therapeutic to you or it will just unearth a bunch of stuff that you have finally gotten control over. So you kind of have to know yourself and know if you can handle this or not in the moment. So it doesn't shy away from the hard things about losing someone. So keep that in mind if you are wanting to read this book. But so far I am liking it and I am happy that I chose this book and that I'm reading this book. This might even be a book that if something tragic does happen, that I may go back to this book and read it again just to like help me process my own emotions, my own feelings. So those are all my thoughts for right now. We may or may not be finishing this book today, but 129 pages is no joke. So I'm gonna try to really push through. I will talk to you guys tomorrow, and who knows, maybe we'll even change up the camera angle a little bit. I have so many updates for you guys, like so many. First of all, today is April 30th. I did not update you at all yesterday for one major reason, and that is the day that I last spun the spinner wheel. I got like 129 or 24 pages. I don't actually remember which one, but I still had 20 pages to go from the day before. I failed so hard on reading 129 pages. And if I had finished all those, then I would have only had like 30 pages left in this book. And so my plan was to finish my book that day. That very much did not happen. I only read like 20 pages, which is just nothing basically. Also, side note, finally changed the background. We're not sitting on the couch today. We're sitting in front of the bookshelves. We finally changed the background of the video. That was completely random aside. Anyway, so my plan was to finish this book and I only ended up reading 20 pages of this book. So essentially I got to the pages that I was supposed to read the day before, but not the pages I was supposed to read that day. So yesterday I did not spin the spinner wheel at all because my only goal was to finish this book. That's exactly what I did. Last night I stayed up late and I finished Just Last Night by Var McFarlane, and I definitely have thoughts on this. I've already given you guys some of my thoughts on it and it hasn't changed that much. First of all, I liked the romance in this book way more than I thought that I would. I was very unsure on how she was going to pull this off and actually make it something where you're like, oh, that's cute. I hope that they like actually get together and stay together. I think my final rating on this book is going to be probably a 4-star, which is still a really good rating. When people talk about how this book is heavy, like they're not kidding. The entire first half is basically just about the tragedy that happens and Eve working through the emotions that follow that. And I do really like her writing. I read you guys some quotes in the last clip, and if you've watched my videos for a while, then you know that I don't typically read a bunch of quotes from fiction books while I'm reading them, or even just like in general at all. Like even if I like a quote, I don't typically share it with you guys because either it has spoilers or it doesn't make sense out of context, even if it's not necessarily a spoiler. But I really liked the way that she phrased some things, so that's why I read those quotes to you guys, and I haven't tabbed them yet. All the places where you see that I dog-eared the pages, those are all quotes that I want to go back and highlight and tab, and that's very rare for me to do in fiction in general, but especially with romances. I really did enjoy her writing and I would recommend this book, but again, be cautious going into it because it deals with grief and loss for the majority of the time. It doesn't shy away from the emotions that come with that. So if it's something where you feel like you need to process it and you think it would be cathartic for you, then I think this is a great book to do that with. But if it's something that's just gonna stir you up and trigger you in any way, then this is probably not the book for you. But that is Just Last Night, and with finishing Just Last Night, that brings my count to 6 books. So as I said, today is April 30th, so that means that we have to finish 2 books by the end of today. It's 4:30 p.m. It's gonna be cutting it really close. So I have a plan. First of all, I only have 1 hour left in my audiobook. So that's gonna be definitely something I finish today while I'm packing. That will be my 7th book, which really means we only have 1 book to read for today. Now, my original plan was to finish Just Last Night like 2 days ago so that I could have a couple of days to read the next book, but obviously that didn't happen. So my original plan was to read Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins, but there is no way that I'm finishing all this. Here's what I'm going to do instead. I decided to pull a book that is on my May TBR, which you guys have already seen, in order to finish this off with a bang. I will be binge reading Killjoy by Holly Jackson. This is a novella in the Good Girls Guide to Murder series, and it's only 115 pages. And it's a YA mystery, so it will go by very quickly. Exactly. So the master plan is to finish the audiobook and this book by midnight, which I definitely think is possible. I've just got to be strategic in my time management so that I have enough time to actually read this before the clock strikes midnight. This is the only way that I'm gonna get 8 books in. I will keep you guys updated, and depending on what time I finish this, I may have to update you tomorrow on my final thoughts on the book. Honestly, we're going to start this video with only having read 3 books, and 1 week later, which is today, we will have gotten to 8 books. I think that we're going to do it, and I'm so proud of myself for pushing through these books and making sure that I'm not behind on my reading goal, because last week when I started this, I thought that this was just a very long way from being able to happen. So yay for challenge videos. They're so much fun. Honestly, even if you don't make YouTube videos, but you want to read more in your life, doing something like a number wheel challenge or picking your TBR with something like TBR prompt is something that is so fun to do that I highly recommend it, even if you're not filming it. Like get together with some of your friends and do it together. Spin the number wheel together and you both have to read that many pages, or sit down and draw TBR jar prompts and pick out a TBR for yourself or for your friend. It's just such a good time. I highly recommend it. Anyway, that's all very much rants, side rants. Let's start Killjoy. Hi guys, I was editing this video. As you can see, I'm in a completely different location right now, but I was editing this video and I realized that I never gave you guys my final thoughts on Killjoy or wrapped up this video. So here we are doing it now. I actually really enjoyed Killjoy. I mean, it was only 115 pages. It was a really short novella, but it was just fun. The main characters from The Good Girl's Guide to Murder, this was before the original book, and they hosted a murder mystery party and it was so fun. I loved it. It was really cute, but I also like those murder mystery dinner party games. I've done a few of them before and they're so fun. So reading about one, since I haven't done one in a long time, was a lot of fun. I ended up giving Killjoy 4 stars, which is pretty high for a novella. I think it is a really good place to start with A Good Girl's Guide to Murder because it sets up the series. So if you haven't read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series yet, but you're interested in it, then I would recommend you start with the novella and then go into the actual series. It's so short and it sets everything up so nicely. You get a brief introduction to a lot of the characters. But that is all that I have for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I can't believe that in this video we went from I've only read 3 books to 1 week later actually reaching the goal of 8 books. Because Killjoy was the 8th one and I did finish my audiobook. So we made it. We did 8 books in April. I cannot believe it. It's so much fun to do the number wheel challenge. I personally think so. Again, if you want to challenge yourself to read more, I think doing a number wheel challenge, especially a number wheel challenge with a friend, is such a fun way to get all of your reading done. I had a blast. I hope you guys had a good time too, watching me struggle through getting all of these books read in such a quick amount of time. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and I will see you guys next time.